while we're waiting for Steve, I'll tell you guys just a couple things. First of all, thanks for being part of this. We'll see how it goes, and I would appreciate any feedback you might want to provide me later, so we can, since we can't meet in an in-person reception, this is maybe the next best thing. So there's a few people who are showing in this show. There's some people who are showing in the next show, but I asked them to join us so they could see how this thing goes. And there's some friends of people that are showing. So we're going to try to be nice. I'm not going to do what a lot of the schools do and mute everybody. If you have something you'd like to say, if you can just do this, I'll see it, and we can, and I'll pick on who can speak at that time. A couple of other things, I've done this before, so those of you who've seen this, I'm sorry you have to see it again, but at every big gathering, they always tell you where the emergency exits are. Right? It's right back there. You have to go. And the bathrooms are, I'm not sure where yours is, but mine is actually directly behind me. So if you feel you need to go there, then that's okay. So welcome. This is our second virtual reception we've had. The first one we only had the photographers who were showing in the show. It was small. This is bigger, and it might even get bigger than that. I was going to start with Steve, and I will come back to him. But what I do is I like to put up a photo of some of the ones that are in the gallery, and you may or may not have seen it, and we're going to ask those people to speak about their photo. And if you have any questions to ask them, sing out, and we'll see how it goes. So I guess, Deb, I'm going to ask you first. Deb's an experienced Zoomer who's done our other reception with us. But at first, I have to change a screen. Give me a sec to be set, because I have it set up for Steve first, so hang on a sec, Deb.
I just sent him an IM to ask him where he is.
Steve said that he's having some trouble getting into an internet connection. He's not home, and he's diligently trying.
Okay. So I'm going to share this screen with you. This is one that Deb has in the show. Can people see that?
Can you do me a favor?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Who asked for a favor?
Something that's working, but the picture of us isn't on that.
Oh, yeah.
Can you just fiddle with that? See if you can.
No idea.
I'm sorry. Let me unshare for a second. Okay. What was the question?
Jerry's having a conversation with his wife by the looks of it.
Oh yes, I apologize. I'm trying to get the computer to work so I'm not dependent on my cell phone. So we're good. Excuse me.
Okay. Yeah. It might have some difficulty seeing these on a cell phone. I don't know. Where's Susan? She was in here somewhere.
I'm here.
Could you see that photo that I put up?
Where's Steve?
Oh, we're going to put Steve on hold for a second. Steve, you're still muted, Steve.
I'm working on it. Unless Steve did it.
It's only the bottom half of the top half of the.
This is a photo that Deb Teska has in the show. Deb is one of our visiting artists for this show. So Deb, I'll ask you to speak about this.
Okay. So there are 4 images. They're all taken from the same spot, which is Carolina Beach, which is in Wilmington, North Carolina. And we happened upon the beach on a morning, and this huge storm came in, and we got caught in a downpour. And then we went over to the carnival area, and I just thought it was amazing. There were all these rides. It was absolutely empty. The sky was ominous, and all the smiling faces and cheerful little things looked kind of creepy and eerie and just something a little bit otherworldly. So I got great joy in taking quite a few photographs of it.
Cool. Yeah, you're right. It's when I saw this, the first thing I saw is this is kind of a contradiction.
Yeah.
And it is a sort. So there's a few others like that as well. Thanks for talking about that. I'm going to go to oops, I forgot I got to change it here first. I can do that without changing. Michael.
Yes.
How about this one? Can you see it?
Nope, not yet.
Oh, okay, hang on a second. I guess I realized that I have to unshare the other screen first. As soon as I hit the change the pictures, it unshared the screen. There you go.
Okay, so this is an image taken in New York City in December of 2019, pre-COVID, and we were walking probably late morning, probably on 6th Avenue going south, and it was a bright day and the light was amazing, just very directional, lots of, direct sunlight plus dark shadows, and I just, caught this image of a woman holding a coffee cup, and I really liked her. It looks like a camel coat, and just all the, the textures, the lighting, the shadows, etc. Looked like she was on, a mission to go somewhere, and so I just thought it was an amazing day, and it's just something that we like doing when we go to New York is just walking, all over, which we do fairly often, except. December was the last time we went. So.
Yeah. Are the other photos on your show there? Are they all of New York City?
Yes, they're all taken the same day, like within an hour of they're all within an hour probably, and they're pretty much they're random shots. No model releases were obtained, unfortunately, and. But I just thought that the lighting was great. So.
Oh, you can't tell who it is anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Very nice. Steve, are you online?
Yeah, I apologize. I'm not at home, and I had trouble hooking into the network where I am, but I'm all set now.
Actually, your voice sounds better than when you're home. Yeah.
I have a voice disguiser on it.
Steve has got the wall show, so I'll let him speak about what the project he put together for the wall show this time, while I go and get one of his images up. So go ahead, Steve.
So last spring, I took a 3-week tour to Ireland with my wife. It was a small tour, so it was only like 13 people or 14 people on the whole tour. So we had a very small bus, and we were able to get into places that normal tours don't go to, which was really nice. And we basically hugged the entire coast, sort of from mid-Ireland, going up all the way around the top, and then coming down and ending up in Dublin. And because it's a group tour, I didn't have the time all the time to sort of stay in one place for half an hour to shoot. It was almost like hunting whatever came by. And this first shot, which I call Alone, I was standing by the cliffs of Moher, and all of a sudden I saw this guy up against the clouds, and he was just perfectly there. I didn't have him pose or anything else. I also didn't have the seagull pose that's in the lower left-hand corner. And all these shots were I originally looked at them in color, and wasn't thrilled with them. I was just going to do a small four photo show at the gallery like a couple months ago. They said, let's try converting them to black and white, and they really clicked. So I started to work on a couple and a couple more and a couple more, and I said, I think this is a wall show, and by the time I was finished, I had 43 pictures, and probably another 20 I could have done of the things that I shot.
Hang on a sec, I'll show it. Stop, dumb dog.
Devin might know what that's like.
Hang on, here's another one.
So, again, we're just walking to go someplace up on the coastline, and we cast a bunch of cows. And it's real easy for, at least me, to label something and say, that's a cow, and walk by it.
So, Steve, tell me, these don't look like black and whites. They're toned a little, aren't they?
Yeah, I put a very slight sepia tone in them because A gentleman I studied under in a master class said that he doesn't like pure black and white. It's a little too, it can be a little too raw, so to speak. So I started to sepia tone just a little bit, just to take a little bit of the edge off of the photograph. But I just want to finish the thought. So oftentimes we walk by something, label it, and then walk away. And what I was trying to do on this trip was not just walk away from the cow.
Or the ramp.
Or the ram. This was at a sheep farm, and they were doing a demo of herding sheep with sheepdogs. And sheepdogs are one step above a wolf. They're very vicious looking, and they really, I don't think you want to use manhandle, maybe sheep handle the sheep. And at one point they were all in the pen, and the one lone, is it a ram? Excuse me, was sort of surrounded by all the fluffy white sheep. And it was like, I got to take that picture.
Yeah.
And I really like the way it came out. And what I like about all three of these photographs is that they have more in them than just simply a picture of the subject, but you can interpret them and see things in them. So I was very pleased with the way these pictures worked
out. Thanks. Is there anybody that would like to ask Steve any questions about any of those? All right, I'm going to go to Mr. Beery.
Yeah, that's a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I asked you to raise your hands, and you did, and I didn't pay attention.
I did, and you're ignoring me. I see her.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that the photograph that he did called Alone is very reminiscent of Rene Magritte. So any of you artists out there, anybody who studied art at all and studied Rene Magritte, anybody else see that?
Mm-hmm.
That one.
Yes, I saw that. That's the first thing I thought of.
Yes. Yes, good. I just wanted to see if it was just me, but boy, it had a strong impact. I just love them all, and I think you're right about the sepia tone. I think that taking and putting that little bit of sepia tone there, it does. It takes the edge off, warms it up, and it makes it feel like Ireland to me.
Thank you.
So I just comment. All of the images have a very distinctive texture. I don't know if that's a good way. It looks like you can reach out and touch the photographs. They're just very textile, I think. And I think they're all very beautiful. So, my hats off to you to get, to achieve that look.
Michael, thank you for reminding me of something. Steve's work, if you look at it, is chronological from when he started his trip around to when he finished his trip, and the tonality that you're mentioning. What you sometimes people who don't show work in a gallery or make a book or those kinds of things, putting art on the wall is different than just looking at it on your computer. And in a situation like Steve's, where he has 40 some images and he wants all the tones and textures to be the same, that in and of itself is an art.
Yes.
Jack, what were you going to say?
Oh, yeah, thanks. Quick comments and a question. One, I did not think of Magritte, but now that you mention it, yes, I think certainly I got a sense of that. And the texture, also, one of my favorites, I think, was called the Fraternary. I think it was the one, maybe the first photograph, but that one seemed to be the most tactile. Like, I felt like I could reach and just grab that stone structure. A question I do have about the Alone, which is a wonderful photograph. Did you ever approach the subject, or in that situation, would you want to say anything, or would you just take the picture? Were you concerned about that person in that situation in any way, or is it just something that you take and then you move along?
It was his wife. She posed for him.
He got awfully tall all of a sudden.
That's a good question. At workshops I've taken, we're often encouraged to strike up a conversation with a subject and then ask them if you can take their picture, and you sort of can relate to them more. I come from New York City, so I don't like to walk up to strangers and talk to them. It's something I was taught as a kid. So none of the people that I have taken pictures of, I asked permission. Now this guy's back was towards me, so he didn't know I was taking it. A couple of the others, I just sort of was walking along, shot, and walked away. I don't have model releases from them, but I'm not going to be using them in advertising or anything else, so I didn't feel that was necessary. But if I was probably at a higher level of a person or whatever, I would talk to the people for a while. But again, we were just moving pretty quick through towns. And like when we were in a big city, you're just walking by somebody, you shoot, and you keep on walking.
Yeah.
Was he part of the group or no?
Oh, no. He was just standing there.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been taking a master class with Joe Mankiewicz, and he rarely ever talks to the people that he shoots unless he's doing it for them. So he stands on the street and just shoots.
It's an interesting question that you asked, though, Jack. I believe my feeling has always been, unless it's a famous baseball player or a famous person that I think could make money off of that photo, I don't usually ask either. But I usually sit in a spot and people know I'm there, and I sit around and wait for them to enter my stage and take their photos. But yeah, interesting question. Dick, can you wave your hand? Dick Berry? So you see where Dick is. This next photo I'm going to show you is his. Dick is also one of our visiting artists at the moment, and I'm interested in this. He took a trip to Utah, I think, last June.
Last year, in September, October. It was taken in October, and one of the places we visited all the state parks, national parks we could imagine. We've never been there before. And one of the places we were told about was Kodachrome Basin State Park, and sounded interesting for the colors and so forth. So we went there. At the end of coming back from Bryce Canyon, we were driving back to our campground in Zion, and we said, well, we need to get there. This is the only day we can. So we got in for an hour and a half, and the story is you can see a sun down the lower bottom right-hand corner of this photo of Chimney Rock. And they talk about how National Geographic in 1949 explored the area and put the pictures in their magazine. They called it Kodachrome Basin. So later on it was made a state park, and they were afraid of what Kodak would say, so they called it Chimney Rock Basin. Then they got permission from Kodak to actually call it Kodachrome Basin. So I thought, well, and my wife actually made the suggestion of let's do a series on that, and if you see the actual exhibit, you'll see that I was able to obtain the 1949 National Geographic magazine from their archives. I purchased it, and they have photos in there of the areas that we were at, so it's kind of like a before and after. And if you view this Chimney Rock in their photo, you can see what happens in 70 years. It is still there, but it has changed shape. And in fact, my background right now is my vertical background is another area in the basin, and we were able to take photos of. So we were there for an hour and a half, and we took handheld photos, and we photos with them.
Great. Dick has a bunch of information about what he did with the National Geographics on the board on his panel, so it's interesting to check that out if you can stop into the gallery.
Just a quick question, and I could ask this anytime. But why not share it? So, Dick, were you tempted at all to shoot some film there, or are these all digital?
No, I have nothing I can shoot film with anymore, so it would have been fun to do that. So.
Yeah.
The other interesting fact you mentioned film is actually exploration and took the photos. He shot all of his photos in Extron.
Okay. Well, we scratch the purity, we don't always get it, right?
Right.
You have Simon and Garfunkel on your radio when you were doing that? Okay. In the Newberger Gallery, Michelle Turner. Where's Michelle? Wave your hand, Michelle. so you can see where she is, so you know where the voice is coming from. I don't see Michelle.
And then
It's
Jill.
Okay. All right, I see it. So let me get this this photo up. She has Michelle. Why don't you talk for a minute about what you shot there while I bring this photo?
Okay, all the images in the Newberger Gallery are from a trip in early March to Egypt. I was there the 1st of March through the 15th, and they closed the airport on the 19th. So I just got out just before they shut the place down. This was taken near Luxor. Took one of the traditional sailboats to an island area where they have farms which you can tour where the men are involved, but this is a house that obviously the women are there, the matriarch of the family, her daughter, her grandchild, and they're looking at the daughter-in-law who is actually baking bread in a looks like a concrete oven, and that photo is also in the collection. I like this because you can, first of all, you don't see women posing for photographs very often in Egypt. It's not kind of the done thing. They're in very traditional garb. They were doing the laundry when we were able to get in to talk to them, and our guide translator. And you can see right straight through the house, so that you see a ladder that's going up to roof area where they're going to sleep. The door behind the baby's head is their kitchen, quote unquote, and had a refrigerator in it. So they do have electricity. It's a dirt floor. And then you can see right to the back alleyway, which is where people come and go with carts and donkeys and various ways of bringing in supplies. So there's a lot to see in the setting, and it's just a unique picture because you don't get the opportunity to be in someone's home that often.
I want to mention that Michelle exhibit is when you go and see an exhibit of photos from Egypt, you expect to see a certain touristy type of thing. A lot of the photographs are just documenting the everyday life of Egypt, which I found kind of fascinating.
I figured people had seen enough pyramids and Giza, Sphinx. I have some of those.
Yeah, you got a couple camels.
Yeah, a couple camels. You can't avoid the camels; they're everywhere. And but I figured that is my focus. Everybody's seen that, and now I wanted to see people as they're going about their daily life and what was happening.
Great, thank you very much for doing that. Do you have any questions for Michelle?
Can I ask a guy a question?
Michael, what are you saying?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So when you photographed the people of Egypt, did you get any resistance at all?
No, not really. Obviously, the little family group there, they knew we were coming. Their son, I think, the lady's son, had arranged it with our guide, and I'm sure there was money that was exchanged. But you wouldn't get that sense from her. But as a general rule, I think I had one man who was selling like gyros, meat on the street. He didn't like it when I was pictured, but he didn't stop me. He just sort of waved me off. But it was kind of almost the opposite. We were invited into an engagement party. We heard the music. We saw crowds of very well-dressed people, and we went into this hall, and our guide told them we were from America, and the family practically adopted us. It was like they wanted to give us food, and they wanted us to see them participate in the singing and the dancing that was going on with the young couple. So they, you know, it was almost the opposite of being resistant. They really welcomed you in.
So did you dance at all or not?
No, actually, we did not. We didn't quite know the steps.
Thank you.
Zach is here. Zach, wave your hands so people can see who you are. Zach, have you ever shown in a gallery before?
My first time was actually January during the
Magic Light. Yeah.
Yeah, Magic Light.
Yeah. I'm going to show a photo now that he put up and got one of the gallery's picks, and you'll see why. I would say I would have to either be faster than somebody or be really far away to take this picture.
I was in the gallery today, Zach, and I was just admiring that. That's wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
What's the story around that bear?
So last year, early May, me and my wife went out to Montana, out to Glacier National Park, and we were there for about a week, and really the first couple of days we hadn't seen a whole lot of wildlife. I mean, it was still snowing some of the days while we were there, so we didn't really see a whole lot. Our last day they opened up farther section of the road, and they could hike on because you can't drive through because it takes until June to actually plow out the road. We hiked in a little bit, and I had my camera, and we went around the first bend, and out on the lake there was another group that had stopped, and they were pointing, and we had no idea what they were looking at. And there's a grizzly bear out by the lake, and very relaxed. I mean, had just gotten up from hibernation because really did not care that we were there. Just kind of scratched his ears a little bit, but we didn't really want to stick around too long. And just kind of gave him his space and moved along.
Great photo.
How close did you get to him? That looks like you weren't too far away.
I had a 600 millimeter lens, so I was still, I'd say a couple hundred yards from him, but I was tempted, well, at the same time, wanted to make sure he had plenty of space.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we were headed up to Glacier this coming fall, but that had to be postponed for a year, so I'm looking forward to that trip.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful up there. We got a lot of good pictures.
Well, that's a great one.
Is that a brown bear or a grizzly? Just curious.
A grizzly?
It looks like a brown bear, but is it not?
I think it's the hump on the back. Yeah, that's the main distinction. One of the park guides there, he said grizzly bears can actually be they're a very wide range of colors, all the way from blonde to almost like a dark, almost black brown.
So that one, the hump, is what distinguishes it, huh?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a big print, and so if you haven't been to the gallery to see it, probably would be a good idea to stop by. Kathy Wall, you're here, huh? You're muted though, so we can't hear you. So have to unmute yourself.
Okay. Hi.
Give me a second.
At least you didn't hear my dog barking earlier then.
Hang on one sec. Because I want to get that photo up. We're going to have you share with us. So this is the first time I think you've shown in our gallery, isn't it?
It is, and I'm very excited to be there. And I've been in a couple times with some of my friends, and it's got some very favorable comments on all of your photos, and they were really impressed to be there. So
great. Well, we're glad you could join us.
Showing.
So this one was this is the one that you said that you wanted to talk about, and if I'm not mistaken, this is at Irondequoit Bay.
This is at the south end of Irondequoit Bay, and I often take a drive down there just because I love to be by the water, and just sat by this tree and I was taken by its shape, and it's kind of taken on the shape of a human, a person. And it just looks like a tree that has a lot of wisdom and has stood the test of time through many struggles.
Now the other shots that you have on your panel are not as high key as this one. Did you do that intentionally?
I did tweak it a little bit and bring out some white tones and brought forward some of the detail in the fine branches and the grass a little.
Great. Well, I'm glad you joined us.
Thank you.
Hope you'll do some more.
Yes, I hope to. Thank you so much.
Sure. Susan, I'm interested in how you're going to explain your work. Okay. And when you guys hang on one second, while I get it up here. Susan, why don't you talk about what you do with these things?
Okay, well, I was an electron microscopist at one time, so I like looking at small things. When I retired, I didn't have those things to look at anymore. I've been looking at a variety of things, and about 5 years ago, I started photographing circuit boards from various electronic equipment, computers and various things. And I've done a lot of conventional photography, and I wanted to move into something a little bit different. So these are abstracts that are made with photographs of various circuit boards. This particular one happens to be my Apple TV, which you see in the lower right-hand side, my little Apple TV. So I open it up, take the boards out, photograph them, and I can create patterns in Photoshop, or I can just use pieces of the board, right? And then I make abstract shapes and use Photoshop to layer a document to sort of build an abstract image. So I find now that I don't travel as much and don't do as much photography, that being able to do this on the computer with now thousands of pictures that I have of circuit boards, it's fun. It's really just plain fun. That's all I can say. So in the exhibit, a neighbor of mine had 4 Dell computers for her business, which she was throwing away. I took those out. There are pictures in the exhibit made from those Dell computers. I think I can't remember, there's one from my Samsung television that Jerry, my husband, helps me take apart all these things. So anyway, that's my attempt at being creative, I guess you could say, and also I enjoy the intricate details. Circuit boards, you can't really tell from the pictures how finely detailed these circuit boards really are, and I find that fascinating. So
were these taken with a macro lens?
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
And then you wrap the shapes around?
I just make the shapes on the computer and fill them with patterns or pieces of circuit boards.
Right.
So, and then you can put solid colors in to provide some contrast. The little circles are made with blurred photographs. They're all made with photographs originally.
That's very clever.
So anyway.
Yeah, so if you guys haven't seen these before, you should stop. We've seen some of Susan's before in the gallery, but to see them, are there 8 of them there?
I'm looking at it right side up.
Yeah, there's 10 of them.
10, okay.
I see myself right side up. Barbara, can you see me? Right side up.
Okay, I'm glad everybody's right side up.
Yes, thank you, John.
I want to take a commercial break here just for a second. You may have heard that we have been running a challenge, a photo challenge. Here, one second. I find it. Get the picture. So each during the pandemic, I shouldn't say during because I guess we're still in it. Back in early March, we started running these photo challenges and asked people to compete in them, to try that. We give them a topic, and we did it every week to give people something to do with their craft. And I see Marie's there. She's entered them before, and maybe some of you have as well. If you're interested, we take the 4 winners. And by the way, since we've been able to open the gallery, we stopped doing it every week, and we now do them by show. The last challenge was the last challenge was a black and white challenge, and we take 4 winners every time. We get about 70 entries, and this one was, I don't think Barbara Oliver is with us.
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Well, you are. Oh, good, great. Would you talk about that picture? Because this is the one the gallery partners look at all the images that are submitted, and we pick out our 10 favorite, and then I put together a grid, and we pull out the ones that got the most votes. And there are 4. I take 4 every time, but this one here in the black and white challenge, which just finished up in the last show, got the most votes of all of them of the 90 in the 80 in the participation. So Barbara, can you talk about that?
I can. It's nice to see some familiar faces. I'm now in Florida, so this was taken down here. And I don't know how many people are aware of the fact that there's a lot of cattle ranching going on in Florida. And this was down inland from Port St. Lucie in South Florida. And there's a ranching family, Bud Adams, who runs several big ranches. One is south of Orlando in Kissimmee. This is the one, his home ranch in Fort Pierce. And I was fortunate enough to be invited to one of the cattle auctions that he puts on, which is, quite a big deal. So there was lots of photo opportunity. And this guy just drew my attention. He was just one of the hands at the auction, moving cattle around. And he happened to be standing, a little ways away from me, smoking his cigarette, and I was just drawn to his face.
It's really a fine portrait, I think.
And I had originally done it in color, and I'm trying to do a little bit more with black and white and trying to learn how to do that. So once I turned it into black and white, I liked it an awful lot better than the color.
Yeah, it's. I think this was meant to be a black and white photo.
Yeah,
the textures are nice. The tones are beautiful.
Yeah, and it really encouraged me to do more, I think. And actually, every time I do black and white, I think about Gil and his expertise in black and white, and hopefully at some point I'll get there.
Oh, you got there. Good there.
Yeah, this one's really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing it with us. If you guys are interested in participating in the challenge, anybody's welcome to do it. Even the gallery partners participate sometimes, but we can't win, so it's kind of a frustrating effort for us, but we like to show our stuff as well. I'm going to have one more point that I want to make up. Is Carl still here? Yeah. Carl, unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay. Talk about your show that's going up next, okay, while I bring up a photo.
Okay, August 11, my show begins, and it's called the TWA Flight Center, 58 years later. It's photographs that I've made of the former TWA terminal building at JFK Airport, which has been closed since 2001 and is on the National Register of Historic Places and also a New York City landmark. So that will be the featured subject for me, along with the restored Lockheed Constellation aircraft that they have there.
Let me share this photo, because this will give you an idea of what it is that
people are seeing
that Carl is doing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Looks a little like a spaceship, doesn't it? That was shot from the parking garage across from the terminal. The building directly behind it, where you see a couple of lights shining on the horizon over that building, that's actually Terminal 5 at Kennedy Airport. That's the JetBlue terminal. JetBlue actually wanted to tear down the old TWA terminal and build their terminal building there, and thankfully the Historic Preservation took care of that. So it has been restored. It serves as the lobby of the TWA Hotel. And on each side of the building there, you see some new buildings, little square buildings. Those are the hotel rooms that go with the hotel.
So I've seen some of the shots that Carl took here. They're just really cool. So to give you guys a lead, the next challenge that we're going to have for the photo challenge is on architecture, and you might want to take a look at some of your own work.
Thank you, Don.
You're welcome. One other thing I want to do is, those of you who visited our gallery often ask about Sheridan's work, and how he produces the kinds of things that he does. So give me a second, Sheridan, to maybe you could talk for a second about what I'm leading into. You kind of know it, and then I'll bring the photo up.
Yeah. Well, it's a panorama. Surprise, surprise. I've been doing panoramic photos for many, many years. The advantage of that is you end up stitching individual images together into one large image, and that gives you a lot of resolution, so that at any point you want to make a large photo, you have all kinds of pixels to work with. So this is one that I shot the first day of winter. I have 2 days a year that I make a point of going out with my camera: summer solstice and winter solstice. And this is winter solstice of last year. This is the Katsura tree in Highland Park. The Katsura tree is right behind the pansy bed, for those of you who are familiar with the park. And it's probably about mid-morning. And
also known as Sheridan's tree.
Well, at some point somebody's going to say, can't you do anything else? I think, but yeah, I've probably been there 20, 25 times, and it's just a fascinating tree because the time of year, the way the lighting is, the time of day, and then as you walk around this tree, there are three trunks to it. So all the perspective of the relationship of the three trunks just kind of shift around as you walk around it. The other aspect of this photo is that it's a full 360-degree view. So I get right in underneath the tree and take a series of photos where I capture everything. So what you see on the far left is the continuation of what's on the far right.
So this, how many photos is this, Chairman?
Well, normally I like to shoot in this perspective with a 12 millimeter lens, so I get really close to the trunks, to the tree, and then the 12 millimeter kind of pushes everything back. And with 8 or 9 images, I can get that full 360-degree view.
Okay. So now you decided to do something else with it, so why don't you talk about that while I switch pictures?
Yeah, so what I've been doing in the last year is working with a little different approach. It's called the mirror ball perspective. So the programs that stitch together these panoramas have different perspectives that you can get. And one is called the mirror ball. And from the mirror ball image, you get a round circular image. And it really looks great in a pine forest where you're looking straight up into the sky, and you've got all these pine trees growing in from the outside, growing into the center. So this is the same series of photographs in this different perspective called mirror ball, and you can see where I was essentially looking straight up. So I positioned myself at a point in the tree. We're looking straight up. Right at the center of that photo would be where I was standing underneath the tree. And the technique involves shooting a series of arcs, essentially, where the camera is actually facing straight up at one point, and you use a panorama head so that everything stays in synchronization. So it takes 36 images to cover the field of the full circle. And I shoot everything in a bracket series of 3. So in order to get this shot, there's 108 photographs that go into it. There's a lot of redundancy with that, so you can pull that back to about 15 or 20 images that come together then to be stitched.
What you guys can't see here is that what's on display at the gallery is a circular photo that's underneath a laminate. The white's not there; it's actually circular.
Yeah, And that was the other part that's been fun with having working on these for the last year or so. Is there's a company here in town that you make the print, they laminate it to the acrylic, and then with a router they can cut it out into a circle. So to just have the circle is kind of unique. I think I haven't seen that too often. So in this particular scene, you can see where the sun is on the summer solstice. It's really low near the horizon. I thought it was fortunate with the way the lighting was, because some attenuation of what would be bright lights by the clouds, and there's just enough shadow to have a sense of the shadows. Much like what Steve did, there's really not much color in the shot, and I converted it to black and white, and it just didn't quite seem to hold up as much as when I tweaked it back to just a little bit of color, and that's essentially what the print is.
Rather than toning, you desaturated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I took all the color out, and then in Photoshop just brought it back a little bit to get a little bit of the saturation.
Great, thank you for sharing that. Sheridan, I don't know if you guys know of his past, not his bad past, but his good past. Was a chemist, and I think he likes playing around with all these different substrates. We kind of follow after him sometimes. He's the one that got me into doing what's that stuff that Tyvek stuff, which now I can't get. So he got me wedded on this Tyvek thing, and I can't do it anymore. Anyway, so
there's a company that just sent out an ad this week. It's called Whitewall, and they're showing round photos as the new big thing.
Right, round and also octagonal and hexagonal, and really different shapes.
Right.
Thank you, Sheridan. Hey, thank all of you for participating. I thought it was really good that you could come along. Anybody have any questions they'd like to ask or share before we leave? Where's that?
Well, I had a question for the gentleman that took the photos in Ireland.
Steve.
Is Steve still on with us?
Yeah, unmute yourself, Steve.
Steve, one of the photos that I saw in your exhibit, you called the John Wayne Bridge. And can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, I saw the film, but I didn't know that it actually was there in Ireland.
Yeah, it was the film with John Wayne called The Quiet Man.
Right.
And our guide said, let's take a little side trip. And on this little dirt road, and it was the actual bridge that they shot the film from, or on. And we recently watched The Quiet Man on TV, and we saw the bridge there. So we certainly need to be in a place that was pivotal in the story of The Quiet Man with John Wayne.
Mm-hmm. Those were good scenes. Thank you for sharing that one.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Dick, did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to thank all the partners for making the gallery open to us and for the opportunity to show our work.
Thanks, Dick. I wish we could do receptions. We had fun with receptions. We'll have to do with this for now, but we are open and we are safe. So if you want to come out and see some great photographs.
I have to say the food at this reception tonight was terrible, Don. Terrible.
I'm sorry, Carl?
Thank you, Don.
I said the food at the reception tonight was terrible, Don. I'm going to come over to your house and let Karen feed me next time.
I'm sorry, a little tasteless, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
But I do have a couple of little cookies. I'd be glad that they come from that tin can that we.
Oh, I've been eating some ice cream here while I've been doing this.
Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Don.
Bye.
Bye bye.